Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hopefully, you are well and good and must be listening to the lectures on time. Don't forget to prepare for your online test. Today, we are going to catch up with the remaining type of system software, the fourth and last type of a system software, that is language processors or language translators. In our previous lecture, actually we started the topic software, and we were actually studying further the subtypes of a software, and we were actually covering the topic system software. The first type of a software is system software, and we delved deep into the types of system software. We covered the first type of a system software, that is an operating system. We were done with the second type of a system software, that was device drivers. We were done with the third type of a system software, that is utility programs. Now moving forward, inshallah, today we will be covering this topic, language processors, the fourth and last type of a system software. This type is very conceptual as compared to the other types of system software. You need to pay attention to it relatively vigilantly. So our today's objective is basically to study this type, language processor, and we would also further delve into its further subtypes. So basically there are three types of a language processor, which are assembler, interpreter, and compiler. So this fourth type of a system software, which is language processor, actually has further three subtypes. First and foremost thing which actually you need to know is that what basically is a language processor. Language processor is a type of system software that is used to translate a program from a high-level language into a low-level language. Before moving forward, you need to understand these concepts. You need to grasp these basic concepts, that what I'm talking about, that what is actually a low-level language and what is a high-level language, because we are talking that a language processor or a language translator would be converting a high-level language program into low-level language. I bet that you already know that what is actually a low-level language. If you recall our second lecture in which we talked about binary language, which is also called as machine understandable language. So basically, computers only understand the programs written in low-level languages. Overall, a computer only understands this binary language. Computer only understands a machine-level language. As told you earlier, that whenever you give any type of input to your computer in any language of the world, either Urdu, either English, either Chinese, or whether any language, when you give that input to the computer, computer doesn't understand that. What happens that inner circuitry of the computer actually converts that language, any language, converts that language, converts that input or data into computer understandable language. That data or that input given by the user in any language of the world would be further converted by the inner circuitry of the computer into binary language, into the language of zeros and ones. Basically, why it is called as binary language? Because it consists of two numbers, zeros and ones. Your data is basically converted, finally converted into zeros and ones form. It is basically further translated by the inner circuitry into the computer understandable language. That's why it is called as machine language, because it is this zeros and ones based language is closer to the machine, is closer to your system, is closer to your computer. Now the question arises is that, okay, we are done with that, what is a machine language, but now what is a high level language? You need to know is that when a software developer develops some software, that software developer, that software engineer, that programmer actually needs certain languages to develop that software. So you can say that there exist certain languages in the market which are called as high level languages. They are actually dozens in number. You can say that they are hundreds in number. So software engineers use these different high level languages to develop different type of softwares, like you can say that C or C++ or Java or Visual Basic or Ruby or Swift or even Python. These are different names of different high level languages. You can consider them as the languages of the world, like Urdu is a language, Chinese is a language, English is a language, Arabic is a language, French is a language. So different countries have adopted over the time, gradually over the centuries, different countries have basically adopted different languages in their regions. Likewise, different software developers or different software engineers can basically adopt different type of high level languages to develop their software. That is basically their own choice. Inshallah, when you will be moving towards a second year, when you will be passed out from your first year, we will start this C++ language. We will be actually starting, or we will be stepping towards our software engineering basics when we would delve into C++ in our second year course. So you must have got that idea. What I want to say that machine language is basically a language consisting of binary codes, zeros and ones, and it is understandable by the computer, and every data which you give as an input to the computer is finally converted into the machine understandable or binary language by the circuitry of the computer. While what is a high level language? High level language is like any language of the world, but it is sort of technical language which consists of English alphabets plus mathematical operators, greater than, less than, or plus than signs, or different mathematical formulas and different header files and things like that. You would study that extensively in second year. But basically, high level language is a language like any other language in the world, sort of technical language, which is actually used by technical people, which is actually used by software engineers or programmers or developers in order to develop some software, in order to develop some websites, in order to develop some databases, in order to develop some technical systems. So there exist different sort of high level languages in the market. So when a software engineer would develop some software using a high level language, that high level, when that software engineer would be creating the programs or would be writing the codes for developing that software using the high level language on a computer, then at that time a language processor would be a system software which would actually convert the codes or statements written by the software engineer into the high level language. So the language processor would convert that statements from high level language into the computer understandable machine or low level language. Machine language is also called as binary language, is also called as low level language. You must have now got that idea. What I want to say that a software engineer would be writing codes or statements for developing a software using some sort of high level language, and the software engineer would be writing those codes obviously on a computer using some high level language. Some high level language software would be installed on that computer, say C++. That software engineer is supposedly using C++ high level language to develop a software, to write codes for that software. So the language processor would convert the codes or statements or programs written into that C++ high level language into the computer understandable machine language. As told you earlier, computer cannot understand any kind of language other than the binary language. So that high level language code would also be translated or converted into computer understandable language. So that is the sole or main or basic purpose of a language translator, that it would translate which language? A high level language or assembly level language into computer understandable language. Here, another concept you need to understand is that what is a source program. I'm telling you these basic terms because throughout this topic of language processor, these terms would be repetitively used again and again. So what is a source program? A source program is a program written by that software engineer. A source program is a program or code or statements. It consists of statements or codes written in high-level language by a software engineer or a programmer or developer. Supposedly, again, I'll give you that example that C++ is the high-level language, and a programmer or software engineer or developer is actually using that C++ high-level language to develop a software. So that programmer or software engineer is actually writing some programs or codes or statements. So those codes or statements or a set of those statements or codes would be called as a source program. You can say that source program is written or source program is actually sourced or developed by the programmer or developer or software engineer. This word source is actually indicating that the source is a software engineer. A source of writing that program is some programmer or developer. So a source program is written by a software engineer or a programmer in a programming language such as C++ or Java or Visual Basic. So this program, the source program, is not in a form that a computer can understand. Of course, that source program is in high-level language form, so that high-level language form is not understandable directly by the computer. So a language translator would actually translate that source program into computer understandable language or into the object program. You need to understand this concept closely, that a language processor would translate the source program written by that software engineer into the object program. Now, what is that object program? Object program is basically that machine code. So when a source program would be translated into the machine code, that binary file, that binary code or machine code or low language code would be called as an object code, an object program that the computer can directly understand and that the computer can execute afterwards. So before moving forward, you need to understand clearly the concept of a source program, the concept of a high-level language, the concept of a low-level language or machine language, and basically the concept of a language processor. Till this moment, I hope that you have understood the concepts. Again, I'm repeating that a computer cannot directly execute a program, or a computer cannot directly understand a program written in high-level language or assembly language. So before execution, the program written in high-level language, the codes or statements written in high-level language by the software engineer should be converted into machine language. So the language processor or the translator is a software that converts these high-level language programs, or the programs or source program or source code or source statements written into some high-level language into machine language. So every computer language has its own translators. So the translators vary from computer to computer. So if you are saying that Sony is a company developing computers, or we can say Huawei is a company, or Dell is a company, or HP is a company. So these are the different companies developing different sort of computers. So every type of company or every type of company's computers would have their own sort of translators. As told you that the computer understands only machine language, binary language, or zeros or ones. So computer cannot directly execute a program written in high level language or assembly language. That is so clear till that moment. Before execution, the program or the statements or the codes written in high level language must be converted into machine language. Language processor or translator is a type of system software that converts these source codes or source programs or source statements written into high level language into machine language. Every computer language has its own translators also. These language processors are the intermediate programs. You need to understand this statement that language processors are the intermediate programs relied on by software programmers to translate high level language source code to machine language code. You must have got this clue that why they are called as intermediate programs. That is very simple, because they are acting as a bridge between the computer and between the software engineer or programmer. So popular translators or language processors are compilers, assemblers, and interpreters. They are usually designed by computer manufacturers. Means these language processors are actually designed by the manufacturing company, that company which is actually developing that computer machine. So nowadays most programs are written in a high level language such as the C, Java, or Python. Told you earlier several names. However, since computers only understand instructions in machine code in the form of zeros and ones, we cannot properly communicate with these computers without some sort of a translator. So this is why language processors exist. If a software engineer or a developer or a programmer wants to communicate its written codes, wants to communicate his written codes with the computer machine, at that time that person would need a language processor for sure. So the language processor is a special translator system used to turn a program written in a high level language, which we call as source code, into the machine code, which we call as object code or object executed code. So in this hierarchy below, you can see that clearly. An example is actually given to you that suppose there is a language, C or C++ high level language, and the software engineer wants to develop a software using that C++ or C high level language. So what the software engineer is doing, that he actually wrote a source code. He actually wrote a source program. He actually wrote some codes or statements using the C or C++ high level language. What happened further that actually the software engineer was performing that all stuff on a computer. He installed that C++ high level language into the computer, and he wrote several codes or several statements using that C++ high level language. Now the computer is not understanding directly that high level language source code. Computer is not understanding that high level language source statements or source program. So a language processor comes in. That language processor is also installed already on that computer, like C++ high level language. So that language processor is translating that software engineer's written source code into the computer understandable binary or machine code. So the input here is that source code or source program or source statements written by the software engineer using some high level language. So those codes or source programs or source statements are the input for the computer, and then that input is converted by the language processor, by the language translator, into the binary code, zeros or ones or machine understandable code. And then when that high level language source code has been converted into the binary or machine code, then afterwards the CPU actually executes that binary code. You need to understand that the input based on high level language source code was converted into the binary language, into the machine understandable language by the language translator. At that time an object code was created, object file was created. Afterwards, after the conversion into binary code, the CPU comes in and the CPU actually executes that binary code and generates the output. So here comes in the first type of a system, first type of a language processor that is a type of system software. So the first type is a compiler. So what is a compiler? Of course, compiler is a language processor or a translator, and a compiler would also translate some high-level language source code or source program or source statements into the machine understandable language. So compiler is a language processor which translates programs, source code or source statements written by the software engineer or programmer in a high-level language into the machine level language as a whole. You need to actually focus on this statement as a whole. Means, of course, compiler is converting high-level language source code into the machine level language, but as a whole. Suppose, I'm giving you an example, the software engineer has actually wrote 1,000 lines of codes or 1,000 lines or statements based on high-level language, and at the time of translation, what the compiler would do, that the compiler would take all those 1,000 high-level language statements or source code based on 1,000 statements written by the software engineer as a whole, and then the compiler would actually translate those 1,000 statements or codes as a whole at one time. Means the compiler would not execute 1,000 source statements stepwise. It would not do like that. It would just take a whole 1,000 source statements at once, and just it would translate them into machine language at a moment. So a high-level language program is called a source program. Compiler converts that source program, whole complete source program into machine code at once. This machine code is known as an object program, object code. So a compiler is a program that converts the instructions of high-level language into machine-level language as a whole at once. It creates an object file after translating the source program. Interesting thing is that when the compiler would translate all the high-level language source code statements as a whole at once, after converting them into machine language, it would create a binary file, or it would create an object file of that translated source code. So the object file can be, afterwards that object file would be executed by the CPU of the computer without translating the source program again and again. Concept to fetch here is that once an object file would be created when the compiler would translate the source code into machine code, after translation an object file or a binary file or machine code file would be created, and then the CPU would execute that object file, and the CPU would just perform the execution of that object file only once. Means if the user needs to reuse that object file again and again, the user is opening that source code and using or utilizing, or the software engineer is utilizing that source code again and again, the CPU would not have to look towards a translator, a compiler again and again, because the object file would be executed by the computer, while the language processor would not again translate the source program. Means again and again the user or the programmer or the software engineer is utilizing that developed source code, but once that source code has been translated, the compiler would not translate that source code again, while the execution would happen again and again. The execution would happen again and again if the software engineer or the programmer is using or utilizing that source program again and again. So the object file would be executed again and again, which was created once at the first time, but the compiler would not translate that source program again and again, as it has already translated that program for the first time. Furthermore, the compiler verifies every statement, every code written in the source program in high-level language and produces machine code or binary code. There are actually two types of errors which occur in a source program. One is syntax error and one is logical error. So what would happen that the compiler is responsible for for checking the syntax errors in the source program. Syntax errors are like error of some comma, error of some semicolon, error of some upper or lower case. So these are syntax errors, while logical errors are those errors which are actually based on some kind of logic. Suppose a programmer has to write a program based on square root, but he unfortunately or he mistakenly wrote some code based on on cube. So this type of error can be concluded as a logical error. So syntax errors in the program are always checked by the compiler, and then the compiler just indicates those syntax errors to the programmer, and the programmer or the software engineer would have to then remove those errors. This is called as debugging. So a source program containing an error cannot be compiled. A source program which has some sort of syntax errors would not be translated or compiled by the compiler. Rather, the compiler would indicate to the user that in this line the syntax error exists, kindly remove it. So when the programmer or the software engineer would remove those errors, then afterwards the compiler as language processor, as language translator, would translate those source code statements written into some high level language into the machine level language. So a compiler translates the programs of only that language for which it is written. If a compiler actually relates to a C++ high level language, then it would only translate or process the source code written into that high level language. If a compiler relates to Java language, then it would only translate the source code written into Java language. So the compiler as language processor is high level language oriented. For example, again, the C compiler can translate only those programs that are written in C high level language, unlike in interpreter based programming languages. The translating phase and the execution phase in compiled programming languages are completely separated, and the translation is done by a compiler. Here the point is that in compiler based language processor, the translation phase and the execution phase is completely different, while in interpreter, which is also a language processor, the translation and the execution phase is combined. You need to understand that concept, that in compiler the translation and execution phase is completely different. How? That would be told you, that would be discussed with you afterwards. So the compiler is a language processor that reads the complete source code written in a high level language and translates it into an equivalent object code as a whole at a time. Typically, this object code is stored in a file. If there are any errors in the source code, the compiler specifies or points them out at the end of compilation of that source code and along with the lines in which the errors were found. So after the removal of those syntax errors from the source code can be recompiled. Now here in these diagrams, you can see that how the compiler is actually working. It is converting a source program or source codes or source statements written into high-level language, from that high-level language into machine or computer understandable binary language. So the compiler here is acting as an intermediary bridge between the high-level language source code, between the high-level language program and the machine language or machine or low language program. So it is acting as a bridge here. While you can see in the below diagram that the source code, which is probably written, of course, in some high-level language by some software engineer or programmer, so that source code is actually present in the pre-processing stage, means yet that source code written in some high-level language has not yet been processed or executed by the computer, means the source code is present in some pre-processing stage. So the source code is actually present in some pre-processing stage, as it has not yet been executed by the computer, but it wants to get executed by the computer. While that source code would be further translated into the object code, into the binary code by the compiler, by some language processor. That binary file would be created, that object file would be created. Now that object code is actually moving towards the processing stage, means now as the object file, as the binary file has been created, now the computer's CPU has to process or execute that object code, means the source code was just translated by the compiler into the object or binary code, but the source code was not executed or processed by the CPU. When the compiler translated the source code written into high-level language into the object or binary code, and now the CPU would actually fetch that object code and the CPU would actually execute or process that object code. As told you earlier that the translation phase and the execution phase in compiler is separate. That is the concept here which I want to tell you, that when the source code has been translated into the object code by the compiler language processor, here the translation phase is separate. While when it was translated into the object or binary code, the CPU fetched that binary or object code, and that object code was further actually executed or processed by the CPU. So that is the execution phase. That's why it was said that the translation phase and the execution phase in compiler based system is actually different. Now, what is an interpreter? Like a compiler, interpreter is also a language processor. Interpreter translates and executes like a compiler all the source code statements of a program written in some high level language into the machine level language, but one by one. So the first difference here between the interpreter and the compiler is that actually compiler translates all the source code statements as a whole into the machine level language at once, while the interpreter translates and executes each statement, each source code statement of a program written in high-level language one by one separately. So that is the first major difference between an interpreter and a compiler. So an interpreter is a program, is a language processor that converts one source code statement of a program written in high-level language at one time. It deals with only one source code statement at a time. So it translates only one statement of the source program and then executes that one statement immediately before translating the next statement. Means the interpreter would fetch one source code statement, it would translate it into the machine code, then it would execute it. After executing and translating that one statement, it would then move on towards the next statement. If the execution or translation of the first statement has not yet been completed, the interpreter would not move on to the next statement. It would first complete the translation or execution of one statement, one source code statement. After its execution, it would move on to the next statement. Before translating the next statement of the source program, it executes the first statement. If there is some error in the first source code statement, the interpreter would stop working and it would display the error message then and there. This process is continued up to the last source code statement of the source program developed by the software engineer. If there is an error in any source code statement written in high-level language, the interpreter terminates its translation process at that statement. It would not move on to the next statement. So it also displays an error message. The interpreter does not create an object file. Second major difference is that while it is a third difference, the first difference between the interpreter and the compiler was that the compiler actually translated the whole source code statements, all the source code statements, the whole source program at once at a time, while the interpreter actually translates one source code statement, only one source code statement at a time. It translates and executes it, then afterwards it moves on to the next statement. The second difference was that if some syntax error would occur in the compiler based high-level language program, the compiler would translate all the source code statements at once. It would show or indicate the syntax errors of all those statements at the end of that program. After translating all the source code statements, the compiler would generate or indicate towards the syntax errors at the end of translation process. While what happens in an interpreter-based translation, that interpreter executes only one statement, one source code statement at a time. If some syntax error occurs in that source code statement, it would just stop there. The interpreter would actually it indicates towards that error in that statement, and it would not further continue with the translation of other statements. It would just halt or stop on that first statement in which that error occurred. If that error would be removed by the software engineer or the programmer, then in that case the interpreter would move on to the next statement. And the third difference was that after translation of a source code from high-level language to machine-level language, a compiler would generate an object file, a binary file, while an interpreter does not do anything like that. The interpreter does not create an object file after translating the source program into machine code. The source program or source code is translated. Another difference is that, the fourth difference is that after translating the source program or the source code into the machine code once, that would not be enough. Every time the software engineer or the programmer would reutilize that source program, that source code or source statement every time the interpreter would again translate that source code program or source code statement. While what happened in compiler that once, I'm talking about the first time, when that source program or source statements or source codes were actually translated into the machine code by the compiler, that was it. When the software engineer or the programmer would use that source program written in high-level language again and again, the compiler would not translate it again and again. The compiler would just perform the translation of a source program or source code or source statement at once, while the execution of that program could happen multiple times. While in interpreter, what happens that the interpreter, when the software engineer or the programmer would reutilize that same source program, that same source code statements again and again, the interpreter would retranslate those source code statements. The interpreter would translate that source program each and every time when that source program would be reutilized by the user, by the programmer, by the software engineer. Furthermore, the advantages of interpreters over compilers are that if an error is found immediately, that happens in interpreter as it translates line by line. It translates each and every source code statement separately. So if some error occurs in one source code statement, the interpreter stops then and there, and it indicates to the software engineer that remove a syntax error from that statement. So that is an advantage of interpreter over the compiler, that an error is found immediately, so the programmer can correct errors during the program development. The drawback of an interpreter is that it is not very competent. The interpreter does not generate an object program. As I told you earlier, that compiler, after translation of source program written into high-level language, it translates that source code into machine language. Compiler always generates an object file, while the interpreter does not generate an object file. So it has to translate that reutilized source program each and every time when the user reutilizes it. So that is a major drawback. So it must convert the program each time it is executed. Every program has a translating phase and an execution phase. As told you earlier, in interpreted languages, in interpreter, these two phases are intertwined or combined. Instructions written in a high-level language, in a high-level programming language, are directly executed without being previously converted to object code or machine code. So both of the phases are done by an interpreter, translation as well as execution. As told you earlier, that in interpreter-based systems, the translation and execution phases combined. These phases are not separate. So both the phases are performed by the interpreter. So a language processor that translates a single statement, executes it immediately, and then moves on to the next line is called as an interpreter. If faced with an error, an interpreter terminates the translation process then and there at that line. It not moves on to the next source code line, source code statement, until and unless the programmer or the software engineer removes the syntax error from the previous line. So it cannot move on to the next line and execute it unless the previous error is removed from the previous line, or the previous translation of the previous statement has been done. So here in this diagram, you can clearly see that how the interpreter is basically working. Likewise, like a compiler, interpreter is also translating some source code, some source program written into high-level language by some software engineer into the machine level language, into the low-level language, into the binary language. While you need to understand here is that concept that the source code, which is in pre-processing mode, which is actually waiting for the translator to translate it into some in binary code. Here what happens is that the source code is basically translated by the interpreter into the intermediate code. As told you earlier, the interpreter translates the source code into the machine understandable language, but the interpreter does not actually create an object file. So what happens here is this: the interpreter translates the source code into the intermediate code, from the source code into intermediate code, not into object file. So that intermediate code generated by the interpreter would further be processed or executed by that same interpreter. As you have noticed in the previous diagram of a compiler, that here you can clearly see, these are compiler based diagrams, so here you can clearly see that a source code was actually translated or converted into the object code or binary code by the compiler. Then that object code or that binary code was basically converted, or that binary or object code was processed by the computer's CPU finally. But what happens in an interpreter based system is that no object code or binary code is generated. The source code is simply translated into some intermediate code and by the interpreter, and interpreter also processes or executes that intermediate code. So the translation and the execution phase is performed by the interpreter, and the translation and execution phase is combined or intertwined by the interpreter. Now, the third type of a language processor or a language translator is assembler. Like compiler, like an interpreter, assembler also translates the source code into machine language, but a major difference is that assembler is not involved at all with the high-level languages. Assembler actually converts the source code written into some assembly language into the machine language. As an interpreter or a compiler was actually involved with the source code written in high-level languages, so the interpreter or compiler actually translated the source codes written in high-level languages, while the assembler is a language processor which translates the programs written in assembly language into machine language. So assembly language consists of symbolic abbreviations. That is a very major thing. As told you earlier, high-level languages are composed of English based stuff and mathematical functions and mathematical operators, while assembly language does not consist of English based stuff or mathematics based operators. Assembly language consists of symbolic abbreviations called as mnemonics. mnemonics. So it consists of symbolic abbreviations called mnemonics, which must be translated into the machine language before execution by the computer. So each type of computer has its own assembly language. It means assembly language is different for different computers. An assembler is a language processor or translator that converts the source code written into assembly language from that assembly language into the machine language. So most assembly languages are very similar to machine code, which is why they are specific to computer architecture operating system. Actually, as compared to high-level languages, assembly languages are close to the computer hardware. Assembly language has a closer relationship with the computer hardware as compared to the high-level languages, because assembly languages are based on mnemonics. So that's why assembly language is closer to the computer's hardware as compared to other high-level languages. So as you can see in this diagram, that an assembler is actually acting as a bridge, acting as an intermediary thing between the source program written in assembly language. The assembler is basically translating that source program written into assembly language from that assembly language into the machine or computer understandable language. means the source code actually, here you need to correct this thing, that source code written in some assembly language is actually being translated by the compiler into machine understandable language, into machine understandable object code. So these are the diagrams which would further make you understand the relationship of each and every language with the computer hardware. Like in the first diagram here, you can see that at the most basic or bottom level of a computer, hardware exists. Basically, these are the layers, one layer above another layer, then another layer is above another layer. So these are basically the layers which actually exist inside a computer when it comes to the language translators. So at the most bottom level of a computer, hardware exists. So above the hardware, machine language exists. Why the machine language lies above the hardware? Because machine language is the most closest among all the languages, so it is the most closest to the computer. Then above the machine language exists assembly language. As told you earlier that as compared to high level languages, assembly languages are nearer to the computer, nearer to the hardware. So as compared to at least high level languages, they are closer to the machine, to the hardware. So above the machine language, assembly language exists, while above the assembly language, high level languages exist. Means high level languages are not at all nearer to the hardware, they are far more away than the hardware. That's why the software engineers use these languages, and these languages are nearer or closer or more understandable by the user, programmer, or the software engineer. These can be multiple type of languages available in the market. So these high level languages are actually directly understandable by the programmer or software engineer, and these high level languages source codes would be converted into the machine language by some sort of translators. In the second diagram, you can see this. High level languages are, or the codes or source codes or the softwares written in the high level languages could be translated into the computer understandable language, into the binary code, through the use of a compiler or some sort of interpreter. And after the translation of that high level language source code into binary code by the compiler, that binary code or object code would be further executed by the computer CPU. As you know that the code which is translated, source code of the high level languages, language which is translated by the compiler into the binary code is further executed by the CPU of the computer. While here you can see that the high level language is closer to the assembly language. So the assembly language code is basically converted into the binary code through the use of assembler language processor. Afterwards, that binary code is also executed by the CPU of a computer. While in interpreter is the only case in which binary code or binary file does not exist. In this third diagram, you can see that the source program written in any sort of high level language is actually in pre-processor stage, as it is it has not yet been processed or executed by the CPU. So that source program is then translated by some compiler, and then afterwards that translated code by the compiler is to some extent understandable by the assembler, and assembler actually grabs that translated code by the compiler, and assembler actually transfers that translated code of the compiler to the hardware of the computer. So at the end of this lecture, we would surely discuss some differences between the interpreter and compiler. So the first difference is that a compiler takes the whole program as a single unit and compiles all the source program statements all at once at a time, while the interpreter translates each and every source code statement separately, one by one. It translates each and every source code statement separately and converts each and every source code statement into the intermediate machine code. So the second difference is that a compiler actually, after translation of the source code, actually creates an object file, while the interpreter does not create an object file. The compiler actually stores machine language as a machine code on the hard disk, while interpreter does not save machine code or the binary code or the object file at all. Compiler occupies more memory space, while the interpreter occupies less memory space than the compiler. Sorry for the interruption. Further, moving on, the compiler displays all errors after the complete compilation or translation of the whole source code program, after the complete translation of all source code statements all at the same time, while the interpreter displays the syntax errors one by one at the translation of each and every line. Means when the interpreter is translating each and every source code statement, each and every source code line one by one, so when it handles or translates that one line, at that time it just generates the syntax error, and if the programmer or the software engineer does not remove that error in one line, the interpreter would not move on to the translation of next statement. So the compiler compiles or generates intermediate machine code, while the interpreter never generates. No, here we should say that the intermediate actually, or we can say that the interpreter never generates any intermediate machine code, while we have studied that it does. So you can say that the compiler directly generates actually an object code, and the interpreter generates an intermediate code. It does not generate an object code. So the compiler runs faster, while the interpreter has a slower speed of translation and compilation than the compiler, and that is very evident because the interpreter stops on each and every individual or separate source code statement, and it translates each and every source code statement one by one. So it is a bit slower, while the compiler executes all the statements of a source program all at once. That's why it is obviously faster. In compiler, the syntax errors debugging is a bit harder. To debug or to remove the errors is a bit harder with compiler, while the interpreter debugging is easier. Finding out the errors is easier, and removing the errors is easier because it tells that each and every error line wise. So the translator program is in compiler, I'm talking that the translator program is required to translate the program each time you want to run the program. That is very obvious. You need to just swap these 2 points that in interpreter it happens that each and every time the interpreter actually translates that source code which the programmer is reutilizing again and again. So this point is basically here, while this point relates to the compiler that the translator program is not required to translate the program each time you want to run the program. Means once the source code has been translated, the compiler does not need to translate it each and every time. The software engineer would actually reutilize it. So this point should be here and this point should be here. So compiler is basically more useful for commercial purposes, and interpreter is more useful for learning purposes, because commercial purposes actually need speed up processes. So compiler is basically a speedy thing. So the compiler is expensive than the interpreter, and interpreter is of course a bit cheaper than the compiler. Compilers are good for for executing long programs, because they would execute all the source program statements at once, while the interpreter is good for small programs. So examples, you can see the examples written here. These examples are actually showing those languages, those high-level languages which are basically using the compiler or interpreter, like C or C++ and Pascal. And these languages are basically using compiler. So our today's topic actually ends here. We are done with our today's topic, and today we actually completed the fourth and last type of a system software, which was language processor. So we are totally done with our system software. In our next lecture, inshallah, we would continue with the second type of a software, that would be application software. So thank you, dear students, and for now, Allah Hafiz. Stay safe and stay healthy, and take care of everyone around you.